Welcome back to another video, guys. I'm gonna jump straight into this video. We are going to be going over a strategy I use to make a consistent $300 to $500 per day, only taking 1 to 2 trades. We are going to go over inverse fair value gaps as well as order blocks, and I'm just gonna take you guys step by step through my entire process, the entire strategy, starting from identifying to charting and then executing our trades. And this example is going to be a trade that we actually took live in the Discord server and hit a 40% trade on. First and foremost, we are going to look at previous day's price action, and we're going to use this to map out our highs, lows, and order block. Off the rip, we can see a high right here, and then for our lows right here. Now that we have previous days highs and lows, we're going to identify any order blocks that we had. If you guys look very closely, you guys could already identify one order block using these large wicks that we have. A lot of buy action is going on in this area, so we're going to try to do our best to create an order block here, going from the top right here to the bottom, and that actually lines up pretty nicely with the first 15 minutes of market open for the current day. As you guys can see, we open within the order block and immediately reject off of it, which is a good sign that our order block is actually getting respected. So now that we have our highs, our lows, and an order block, we're going to let price play out and be on the lookout for an inverse fair value gap forming. Now, if you're a beginner trader and you haven't watched my previous videos, I'm going to give you a quick recap of what a fair value gap is, what it should look like, and what we're on the lookout for. We are going to be looking for 3 candles, fast moves to the downside, and lastly, we're going to be looking for an opened, unfilled gap. Now, once you get all 3 of these things lined up, you can create your fair value gap by getting your box tool, going from the bottom of the wick of the first candle and dragging it down to the top of the wick of the third candle. So there you have it. That is how you identify a fair value gap, or in this case, an inverse fair value gap. Some things to be careful of are if the wicks of candle number 1 completely fills the gap, or if the wicks of candle number 3 completely fills the gap. In both of these instances, the fair value gap gets completely invalidated and we no longer consider this an imbalance. Now, going back to our chart here, let price play out until we form an inverse fair value gap. So there you go. You can see we actually formed an inverse fair value gap right about here. We have candle number 1, candle number 2, candle number 3, and we're just going to go ahead, zoom in, and create our box. Now that we have our inverse fair value gap mapped out, we have an order block mapped out. We're just going to wait for a bounce off the order block, break of the inverse fair value gap, a retest, and a bounce for entry. So in hindsight, it should look something like this. Now remember, guys, we do have previous days highs here acting as a strong resistance, so I'm going to be using a break of that level as further confluence for longs. So we had a clean break of the inverse fair value gap, and then we ended up retesting highs from yesterday. And I did say once we do retest the inverse fair value gap after breaking it, we are going to be taking our entry for longs, and the trade is going to look something like this. Stop loss is going to be set at the break of the inverse fair value gap where the trade becomes invalid. So for this trade, we actually do have 2 targets or 2 take profit points. First point is going to be the daily highs, and our last and final point is going to be the swing highs. Now, once we hit TP number 1, this is where you're going to set your stop loss to break even point, and you're going to trim half of your contracts to practice good risk management. So not only did you make half the money already, you're also going to make the trade absolutely risk free, so you don't have to worry about losing money on the trade. And there you have it, the TP gets hit. We actually took this trade live in the Discord server, and not only did I alert the trade, I also told you guys where to set your stop loss, where to set your take profit, and how to manage your trade. Now that is going to be it for this strategy. Now if you guys want to come trade with me, I trade every single day in the Discord server. That also signal, trade alerts, analysis. I have over 40 plus channels of strategies and education, and I currently have a special 500 to 5k challenge going on in the Discord server for the people that don't have large portfolios and they want to scale their accounts up, and we are already up $1,500 in profit. Now if you guys want to build small portfolios or take daily trades with me, click the link in the bio. It's going to be free to join, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.